Hopefully you can hear me. It's a new mic, new setup. We don't know what the heck's going on. I could be just sitting here looking like a bad Japanese video, but we don't care, cause this is the internet's least watched show ever in its history. It's the BYB Insider, and I'm your host, the big guy. So there you go, kiddies, but we got lots more in store here. We got lots of new graphics. We're integrating all kinds of new stuff, trying to make this an even better show that nobody will watch. But enough of that garbage. It's going to be weeks 2 and 3 of the BYB season, and we're going to waste no absolute time because it is time to jump in to week 2, and here we go. Maybe. The dangers of live TV. Okay, we're going to get this fixed one of these days, okay? Just give me a break. Now, we get on with the show. So our first matchup we've got Turned Down for What and the Cardiac Kids. And let's dive into the box scores. First for the Turn Down the What boys, Drew Brees. Unfortunately, he found his way to the land of -2 points. Dalvin Cook tried to ride to the rescue with 27. Devontae Freeman and Andre Hopkins, though, couldn't pony up. DJ Moore, though, out of nowhere with 17, but O.J. Howard. 0 points. And as we flip it around to the Cardiac Kids side, Carson Wentz coming through, but it was Julio's down by the schoolyard with 28 points. Good night, everybody, and it leads to a laugher. The Cardiac Kids pick up their first BYB win in history, 132 to 73.5. We're moving on, and it is going to be the A-Team and 5 hard inches or 2 lip centimeters, whatever. Game! As we dive inside the box scores, Cam Newton, where did Cam Newton go? Can somebody answer that for me? 10 points, and Christian McCaffrey even went even worse. Only 6 points, but Chris Godwin and Tyler Boyd, the wide receivers, ride to the rescue for the A-Team. It led down to Trey Flowers and 0.5. As we flip it around to Tommy Quick's side, it's Tom Brady with 28. Rocking and rolling. James Conner, though, boy, could there be a bigger disappointment than James Conner? Maybe, but who knows? We're rolling with Devontae Adams with 18, and then you got Evan Ingram with 10, and it all leads to a tie. But thanks to Tom Brady, Tommy Quick pulls out the win. 113 all. We're moving on, and this one's going to be the 4-play boys, and get off of my dick as we dive inside the box scores. Phillip Rivers, and we've got a Le'Veon Bell sighting, everybody, 18.2. knocking down 19 points. Moon River's only with 9, but Austin Eckler continues to deliver.
House of Pleasure.
21 points. T.Y. Hilton and Cooper Kupp also bringing some pain. Come down here to the defensive side, and Jacob once again locking down big points. You flip it to the other side, and Beavers boys, Baker Mayfield, 16 points. Not exactly what you was looking for, but it's not bad nevertheless. Ezekiel Elliott clocking down 19. James White with only 11, and Mike Evans left it kind of hanging with 10. Adam Thielen with 12, but then you got David Njoku. 0 goose egg. But Luke Kuechly comes through in a pinch, 19.5 points, but it just was not enough for Beaver as Jacob remained undefeated, 129.5 to 111.5. We're moving on. It's the Six Kitties and Let Me Kick Charlie Brown's bunch, and we're going to dive inside the box scores. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs. But then you got Keenan Allen with 17 and Darren Waller with 12. The defense also bringing down some pretty decent numbers there for Larry. You flip it to the other side and you got Dak Prescott bringing the pain. Bull of the Woods, 31 points. But Kenyon Drake, 8 points. Odell clocking down 28. Huge game for Odell, but the rest of the team left it hanging, and it led to them, and it leads to just enough though. Charlie Brown gets it, 116.5 to 82. We're moving on, and it's going to be the Revolution and the Guild. As we dive inside the box scores, you got Lamar Jackson. 34 points. Aaron Jones. Another huge gainer. Antonio Brown, 15 points. Before he unfortunately found himself dead. Bye, baby. Bye. Tyler Lockett with 17, but Vance McDonald, 22 points as he finally breaks through. You flip it to the other side and Michael Evans just didn't have enough guns. Deshaun with only 12. Saquon bringing in a huge 21-point game, but the rest of the team left it. And they lose a heartbreaker, 144.5 to 94. And we're going to the game of the week, folks. The Detroit Shockmasters and the Stone Cold Locks. The two former world champions going head-to-head, and we dive inside the box scores. Patrick Mahomes, 38 points. Damian Williams, though, 7 points before he found himself on the injured list. Sonny Michel knocking down 11, but Larry Fitz, the old man by the river, with 15 points, and Mecole Hardman. Bullen and Woods of 16, but Travis Kelce,
House of Pleasure,
23 points. We flip it to the other side, and we asked it last week, but could Jameis be making a comeback? 14 points. Nick Chubb cranking down 20. Michael Thomas with 18, and Calvin Ridley's 24. The defense came in respectable, but it just wasn't enough to get the locks as the Stone Cold Boys drop a heartbreaker to the defending champs. 135-5 to 133. So, we've got a new segment that we're going to debut here, folks. So here we go.
And now, the BYB Insider presents Should We Start to Worry? With your host, the Big Guy.
Welcome to Should We Start to Worry? And I'm your host, the Big Guy. So earlier this week, I asked you to go on to our Facebook page and to ask me a question about a certain player or maybe even a certain team in the league that you might be concerned about. So let's take a look at the questions here, and we answer one from Larry Dameron. He's wanting to know about Baker Mayfield and Sony Michel. Well, in the case of Baker Mayfield, Larry, I don't think that you really need to panic or worry at this stage. It might be a little bit concerning to worry, but you could possibly maybe even begin to worry, but I wouldn't necessarily go push the full-blown panic button as of right now. But Sony Michel...
Don't buy.
Definitely not having it, and he's really making owners around the fantasy football world possibly maybe considering inching toward the panic button. So we thank you for your question, Larry. And we move on to our next one, where Thomas Atkins is asking about O.J. Howard. Yes, you're pushing the panic button. Out of all these big points that Tampa Bay is clocking down as we'll get into week 3, O.J. Howard left it hanging?
Don't buy.
Definitely he's going to put your team in.
The House of Pain.
So yes, Thomas, push the panic button. And then after you panic, push the drop button. And that concludes this week's segment of Should We Start to Worry? Thank you for your participation.
And now, the BYB Insider presents Should We Start to Worry? With your host, the Big Guy.
So folks, here we are, and we are going to take it down to week 3 of the BYB. And see, we're going to get a little bit better about this, get a little bit faster, we hope. So let's start off week 3, kiddies. And here we go. We're going to start it off with the Guild of Calamitous Intent and the Detroit Shockmasters. And let's go ahead and dive into the box scores. And let's take it over here on the Guild side. Deshaun Watson breaking down 30 points, but Saquon Barkley landed in.
House of Pain.
High ankle sprain, probably out 6 to 8 weeks. Terrible news for Nick Evans. Kerryon Johnson didn't carry on, my wayward son, with nothing. Only 10 points. Amari Cooper with a big game. Allen Robinson came in respectable, but Tyler Eifert literally 2 points, and the defense didn't show up. You flip it to the other side, and Patrick Mahomes again, 32 points. Sony Michel, though, as we mentioned earlier in the segment, it might be time to hit the panic button here for the Detroit Shockmasters. Only 7 but Frank Gore. Larry Fitzgerald, it's the old man foster home reunion. 16 and 14 points. Good Lord. The Detroit Shockmasters, more like the Detroit nursing home, but they're still cranking down. Travis Kelce with 15, but the big movers, the defense, Devin Bush, the rookie, and Khalil Mack bringing down huge scores, and the Shockmasters winning in a laugher, 146 to 106. We're moving on. It's going to be the Cardiac Kids. And get off my dick as we dive inside the box scores. Let's take it on the Cardiac Kids side. 27 points. Carson Wentz. But Todd Gurley, man, left it a little short. Only 5 points. But Derrick Henry with 11. And Julio is really down by the schoolyard. 26 points. But the defense went mediocre. Would it end up hurting the Cardiac Kids? Yeah. Because you flip it to the other side, it's Jared Goff, Ezekiel Elliott, and Chris Thompson bringing down some sturdy numbers. But by golly, you got Mike Evans. 45 points, Thielen with 20, and Greg Olsen, the old man himself. 25 points, and it leads to a complete walk-off for Beaver as he gets his first win of the season, 174.5 to 117.5. We're moving on. It's going to be foreplay. And turned down for what? 2 of the Atkins boys, or the Workman clan, or whichever ones that you want to throw them associated to. Who knows? Going head to head here, and as we dive inside the box scores, let's start it off with turned down for what? As Matthew Stafford, 14 points, Dalvin Cook.
The House of Pain.
Bringing pain to the enemies, it's 24 points. Devontae Freeman and DeAndre Hopkins and DJ Moore. Pretty mediocre in there, but then you get down to half the defense and the tight end. Not much there. Jamal Adams tried to salvage out a good game. And Adam Vinatieri, speaking of old men, he's still hanging around, but he gets 10 points. Would it be enough? As we flip it around to the other side, we got Jacob and the foreplay kids. Phillip Moon Rivers, 21 points, bringing down a nice game, but Le'Veon Bell, disappearing act. Nine points, Eckler with a great game, 14. T.Y. Hilton,
House of Pleasure.
20 points, but Kenny Galladay left it short. And it left the foreplay short for the win total as they take their first loss on the season, 108 to 103. We're moving on. It's the Stone Cold Locks and the Revolution. As we dive inside the box scores, you know, we here at the BYB Insider sometimes gets things kind of wrong. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Jameis, welcome back to the land of the living. 30 points for Jameis. Chubbs knocking down 16. Chris Carson, though, 3 points left it hanging, and Calvin Ridley was even worse. Only a point. It really, really hurt the totals here. But we flip it over to the other side, and the Revolution came loaded for bear. Lamar Jackson, 20 points. DJ is back, 17 points. Aaron Jones rocking with 14. But Tyler Lockett, 32 points. Double that up with Nelson Aguilar, even though Philly people seem to think that he couldn't catch because they're catching babies all over the place. But it's 22 points for him, but Vance McDonald once again. But it wouldn't matter much because Jordan Poyer comes through with a big game, 17.5, and the Revolution take it in a walk-off, 146 to 106. We're moving on, and it's going to be the game of the week. Of course you knew this was the game of the week. Don't be stupid. It's Tommy Quick, and it's Larry Dameron. The absolute hate fest. Head to head, let's take it on the 6 kitty side. And we got Kyler Murray, 19 points, but Alvin Kamara came running back as he chugs his way to 36 points. David Montgomery, not much there, but Keenan Allen. And Darren Waller, they came running for the race. 43 and 26 points respectively. We flip it around, and does Tommy Quick have an answer? No. Not even close. Tom Brady with 24 points. James Conner once again.
The House of Pain.
6 points. Marlon Mack only could come up with 16. And Evan Ingram. Huge game for Evan Ingram. But unfortunately, it wasn't even close to being enough as Larry dismantles Tommy Quick. 168.5 to 101. So now it comes time in the show. Let's check out the standings. We take it to the NFL, and the Detroit Shockmasters are up in front, the defending world champs, and the last unbeaten remaining in the BYB, clocking in with a 3-0 record. You got Charlie Brown right behind at 2-1, the Cardiac Kids, and Josh Wortman, both respectively at 1-2. As we take it to the AFL side, we got Thomas up front to turn down for what? Or is that Beaver? Never mind. 2-1, and I guess that's Beaver or Thomas or somebody. 1-2. Michael Evans 1-2 as well, and Jared Taylor remains winless at 0-3. And we're going to take it to the XFL side where Jacob Workman continues to control the division, but he's in a 3-way dogfight. He's got the Revolution and the 6 Kitties beating each other to try to get to the top. Beating each other. At 2-1, and then you got Tommy Quick sitting in the basement at 1-2. So there you have it, folks. The season is rolling on, and this show is now taking its last turn, and we're heading for home. But don't forget a couple of things here. Check out the Politics channel. Our series with South Park is continuing to move on. We've got a bunch of new episodes about ready to roll out. And, of course, this season's going to progress. We're still going to follow it all the way to the end. We're going to find out who's going to win and who's going to lose in next week's episode right here, Wednesday night. I was a little late tonight, but whatever. Hopefully this gets a little bit smoother. We're working with some new stuff. We'll get there, trust me. But I'm very, very happy that you joined us for this episode. And if you didn't, oh well, you wasn't watching anyway. So that's going to do it. We're done here. We're out. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you right here next Wednesday at 8-ish or 9-ish or somewhere. Who cares?